The respect that men have for Stefan that women don't have for her. A man flirting with another man's woman, he could lose his life over that. As a woman, it's embarrassing to me. Hello, Knockouts. Tonya TKO here, and I am a self-love specialist from TonyaTKO.com. I help you learn how to love yourself and each other. On this channel, we've been using viral video topics as teachable moments for dating and relationships in our own lives, either self-loving or self-abusing through relationships. And right now, everyone is talking about Ayesha Curry and her statements on Red Table Talk. So I have seen the entire Red Table Talk, and I've truncated it. So they're not clean edits because I wanted to get this up quickly, but I truncated it down to the parts where Ayesha Curry was talking, as well as some pertinent things that I thought were worth hearing. So it's a little long, so bear with me. We're going to watch this together, and then afterwards we're going to have a conversation. I want to thank everybody who pre-ordered the vitamin E. This vitamin E is what keeps my skin looking clear and supple and vibrant and young. But I sell this once a year. And so now is the time that I'm selling it. For everybody who has ordered, orders are going to start shipping out May 20th. So bear with me for 2 more weeks. There's a little bit of a delay on the vitamin E labels. They're very special labels with gold foil and script and all of this other stuff. So there's a little bit of a delay on that. But so while the delay is going on, get your vitamin E now because sales are still open. Once I close the sales for the year, they're closed. So I want to thank everybody who bought. You buying this vitamin E has helped me be able to write the self-love affirmation book and journal, which is coming out soon. And I'm actually going to go pick those up today. So let's jump into the Ayesha Curry thing. So thank you, everybody. I just wanted to mention that because this video is sponsored by the vitamin E. Support the content creators whose content you like so that we can make more content. That makes sense, right? So let's take a listen.
Ayesha, what would you say is some of the best advice you've received in regards to managing what comes with being a partner to, I call a spotlight athlete?
Well, first of all, I think we've all been very blessed to have an example for us. And a lot of people in our situations don't have that.
Yeah.
And so they enter into this big, crazy world and they go a little crazy. But the one thing I think that I've taken away from Mom, she's very strong and powerful. She's always been able to balance her wants and needs along with her children's wants and needs and her husband's wants and needs. And she's always done it with grace. That's kind of why I need to make sure that I have something for myself as well as my marriage, because one, you know, it's going to make me happy and full. I'm going to be a better parent. Two, it's going to make my husband a better person as well, because then he has this strong woman next to him who, you know, has her own wants and needs and knows what she wants.
Exactly.
And so I feel like I have greater value and passion, and I'm just a happier person that way.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's something that it's been hard.
Yeah.
It hasn't been easy.
What's been the most difficult part of it for you?
Trying to figure out how to balance work life, mom life, and being a wife. And sometimes I want to give up the work life because I feel like, am I cheating my children of my quality time with them? Am I cheating my husband out of like me solely being there for him all the time? It takes a lot of quiet time, solitude, like searching within yourself, taking a deep breath and being like, okay, no, this is okay. I got this. Because I spent a little while not doing these things, and I think I was kind of miserable.
Oh, I'm with you. I went through that phase of like not working and like, okay, I'm just going to concentrate on my kids. I'm going to concentrate on my husband. And I turned into a terror.
Well, and then like, look what happens. Like your children grow up and then they leave and they start their own beautiful lives. And then you're left with the person you started it all with. Saying, who am I? And so like, I just want to make sure that when that happens, like I'm good and I still have a sense of self.
Yeah. I think, how do y'all deal with all the ladies around y'all men? How do you deal with that?
Say we're out in the club and some girl is up in his face. I kind of liked it because to me it was kind of like, this my man, and you ought to be attracted to my man, and I'm okay with that as long as my man standing beside me and making me feel good. But if my man turned around and was like, oh, da, 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 which happened a couple times, I'd be like, hold up, no, wait, and I would solve it. I'm always one to solve things right then. I could be like, you need to back up and you need to make her back up. And so we would just solve that right there.
Right.
Stefan is like very nice by nature, and he's very talkative. He's just like you. He gets it from his mama, and so like everything's always like very, very friendly, and sometimes to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm a grown woman, so I'll just insert myself and be like, hello, how are you doing?
Right.
Like I'm okay with it now, and I've obviously, you know, like the devil is a liar, and there's always like the ladies will always be lurking,
Right.
hoping for their moment and waiting. You need to be aware of that.
Right.
But for me, I honestly hate it. I don't like when I feel like leveled off with somebody.
Exactly.
It just irks my nerves. And so like we had the conversation about it, and he like tries really, really hard to make sure that if we're going somewhere, I'm being introduced. Like I don't like to have to introduce myself. It irks my
Right.
nerves. So we try and I try and make that known. But there have been a couple of times where I've wanted to like punch somebody in the face for sure.
Yeah.
That's human nature. It's never him. It's always
it's
the
always
it's always
the other.
It's
It's
person.
always the other ones. Yeah.
And he doesn't necessarily know how to deal with that because he's like
He's just a nice
generally
guy.
a nice human being.
And he just wants
and he
everybody
can't
to
see
be
it
cool.
coming. Yeah, he can't see it coming. I see it from a mile away.
How did you deal with it, Mama?
How did I deal with groupies?
With the groupies around Daddy.
You know what? I really didn't.
I know I was.
She was more, yeah. Willow.
When I was with him, I was like,
This one.
That is so
this
funny.
one. This
Okay, I remember when Willow was like 5 or 6, and one of Will's co-stars was in his trailer, and she came in there, she jumped in her father's lap, and she looked at the co-star, and she said, "My mother's gonna be here very soon." And I remember Will telling me the story. I cracked up. I said, how is it that daughters specifically...
I always knew, though. I always was
just
like,
tune in.
yeah.
She always even till this day, she'll be like,
I always know.
like,
That's the funny
who
thing.
is that, Ma? I was like, you talk to your dad about that one, boo. Talk to your daddy. There was only like 1 or 2 times where I might have gotten a little hostile, where I felt like people, they stepped over a boundary and they were disrespectful. Now we got an issue, because I know who I am. And more importantly, he knows who I am, right?
So the responsibility really is more on the men.
Think the men,
than-
but also you have to have a internal space of confidence.
confidence.
It's like, because at the end of the day, that's part of it. A lot of women will get, bad reps for being gold diggers or what have you, right? So you realize how, for procreation, men, when they see beautiful women and beautiful bodies, they react because it's a
primal
thing. Well, when women see power,
thing.
it's the same thing. It's not about gold digging. It's a primal response. This guy can build a house. He can help. He can help my survival.
my life.
It's primal. I've had to put myself in Will's shoes at times and go, whoo, woo! If I had all these pretty women throwing them stones at me, what would I do? Baby, whoa, okay. Now, when I really looked at it that way, I really had to have more compassion and more understanding.
Something
Here's
that
the
really
part.
bothers me and like honestly has given me a sense of a little bit of an insecurity is the fact that, like there are all these women like throwing themselves, but me, like the past 10 years, like I don't have any of that. Like I have zero, this sounds weird, but like male attention. And so then,
You
like, I
don't
begin
even
to
realize
internalize it, and I'm like, is something wrong with
You're
me?
not,
like,
you're not looking.
what,
You're not
like-
looking. You're not even.
But I'm gonna tell you something else too. When your radar's turned off, because I dealt with that for years too. Like, and I was young, like you.
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh my
not
God.
fair.
I mean,
Because I don't want it, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice to know that, like, someone's looking.
but
That
when
can
your
get
radar's
dangerous.
turned off, right?
That
You're
can get
beautiful.
real
Don't ever
dangerous.
think for 1 minute that it ain't some men out there looking at you like I wish.
Honestly.
And I'm gonna tell you who knows that more than anybody.
And
I want to ask a question.
So if I have to be around a lot of people, if I have some kind of event, then I will black out. Like I won't remember anything about what I just did. It's just kind of a big blur.
I have anxiety too, really, really bad, to the point where I actually take like medication for it. And I think it's something that, you know, everybody in some way has moments where they, and I think like open communication and like putting your feelings out on the line, like that helps me a lot. It's like just letting somebody know, like, nah, kind of having an anxiety attack right now. Like,
I get it. I literally get it.
You deal with a lot of anxiety too. What are some of the... It's gonna be okay. He holds my hand. Yeah, he holds my hand. He's like, come on. You know, I got you. We're gonna go in here. We're gonna say hi to folks, you know, and then people, he knows everybody. So, you know, it's always just peace and love around Jaden.
I'll never forget, we wanted to go buy bikes one day, and I'm sitting in the back nursing Riley. At the time, she's less than a year old. And this lady, this group of people come over and they're trying to ask Stefan for pictures and autographs. The woman opens the car door, sticks her body in the car, and she's like, oh, let me see it. I'm like, no, like, get out of the car. She goes, oh, honey, you know what you signed up for. And I was like, oh my God. And that's kind of stuck with me for a long time because I'm like, actually, no, I didn't, and I think I do deserve some type of personal space. And so that's more so where like everything stems from for me.
And by the way, when you were talking about we're targets, that's a real thing.
Oh, it is.
Like, we are targets. Things happen, and it just is what it is. Something that...
I do know that through social media, you've had some controversial moments. I know people talking about, you know, because you're mixed, you're not black enough, you're not this, you're not that. Like, how do you deal with all that?
That hurts my feelings so bad.
Yeah, I bet.
So I'm Canadian.
Right.
So I grew up in Canada and lived there until I was 14. Never had to deal with any sort of like racial issue. Moved to the States, started high school, and at that point, I became not black enough for the black people and not white enough for the white people. And I was like, where do I fit? Because I'm black.
Right.
Like, I'm a black girl. It is something that really bothers me.
Right. I bet it does.
You did
I bet it does.
same thing growing up, right?
Look at me.
Okay. So there we go. All right, so those are all of her clips right there, except for one part at the end where she was answering a question about whether or not Stefan is, well, she calls him Stefan, which I was surprised by, whether or not he is mellow behind the scenes. But other than that, you heard all of her speaking parts. What are your thoughts on this? Me personally, I don't know why this is causing so much controversy. But I'll just tell you what it is that I've seen so that I can, because this is benign. But the spin that you're hearing on social media is so profoundly ridiculous. And a lot of the spin that I'm seeing is coming from men. And you know what? Let me just start off this segment saying, you know what? The way I see a lot of men coming out is particularly why some of you don't know how to keep your women happy. Why some of you have so many different issues behind the scenes because you're not listening to what your women are saying. You're not listening to what it is that they need and what it is that they want. And so you ignore or you chastise or you ridicule, just like some of the things that I've been seeing men saying about this are, oh, this is the roughest time in her husband's life right now. He's between playoffs or whatever he's between. And now he doesn't need men coming at his women and his woman and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, that's not even what she's saying. First of all, if you listen to what it is that she's saying, we're talking about a woman who has some mental health challenges or some chemical challenges where she suffers from anxiety to the point that she has to take medication. All right. So we're dealing with a person who already has a lot of different things going on. So she's a wife, she's a mother to 3 children. I thought they only had 2, but 3. I remember when Riley was just a little girl and she was at the little press conferences and stuff. Their family seems so cute. And there's so many people who are against Ayesha because of some of the comments that she's made in the past. And this is when some of those times that Black people just really irritate me, because we come down so hard on one another. And I think the complexion of her skin and her Euro phenotype or her mixedness has a lot to do with it. Because I remember even while I was watching this, so basically this Red Table Talk was the Curry family all of the women of the Curry family. So now Ayesha's mother-in-law who's Stefan's mother. She married a basketball player from back in the days, and like all of these women are like enmeshed in this NBA world, and they're all light complected. And I remember when I was young, and you know, the people who were lighter complected in the South, how there was this regal air about them, and the hierarchy in the Black community. My camera app is bugging out, so just excuse the changes and the differences so that we can get through this video. So we were talking about the hierarchy in the Black community. And look, I get it. Ayesha Curry is a girl that we loved to hate back in the days because she was so quote unquote pretty, because she had the Euro phenotype, and the Black guys would like those type of girls more. And so, you know, when I see Ayesha, it reminds me of a young lady that went to my high school who had the light eyes and the light skin and the light brown hair, and all of the guys liked her, and it didn't really matter what it is that she did. It just seemed to be quote unquote better than everybody else. And so when I think about her, I think about all of the stuff that came up inside of me when I was a youngster growing up. And all of the stuff that's coming up now, even as I watch them, you know, the elite of the Black community. And then I think on the flip side of that, what is it like to go from being that chick who all the guys wanted to now being in this relationship where you haven't gotten attention in 10 years? And you know, how do I put this? This may not be politically correct, but if you really think about it, right? If a woman has I mean, we don't know how categorically book smart she is. We don't know how much she's leaned on her good looks for her feeling of self-worth or whatever. And we all have our own thing. That's one of the things that kind of irritates me about the Black community, is the fact that we act like we're perfect. We're commenting, we're commenting from a place of perfection. Oh, if I were you in your shoes, things would be so much different, right? And then so we don't know whether or not she's intelligent or has other things that she can fall back on. They say that she's a chef, but how much do we really know about her chefing, really? You know, so it's like you got a girl who's used to being pretty all of her life, used to that type of attention, and then now she becomes a mother. So she's older now. She's married and ball and chain, and she got the 3 kids, and her body has gone through birth 3 different times, and your body changes and you get older and all of this other stuff. And she suffers from anxiety. We don't know what type of insecurity she has on the inside, where even a little bit of validation, like the attention from men doesn't have to be aggressive and disrespectful. It could be a lingering look. You know, someone offering to help you with something heavy. But it's like, you know, she's attached to this man who's super famous, so everybody knows who she is. And I can gather, because, you know, the women on the show are like, oh, you just don't see it, but it's happening. So she's not really looking for that attention, but she's not aware of it, right? And it's like, I can't even imagine as a woman, you know, like even the other day, I was struggling because, you know, I go to the grocery store, but I don't use like bags because, you know, the environment. So I use boxes, like, you know, the stock boxes that they have inside of the store to carry my stuff out. And I was struggling with it. And this guy was like, oh, you need some help? And he helped me. So it's like, you know, the little things like that. So I don't think that she's talking about an aggression or a disrespect, but just, I mean, any woman wants to know that she still got it. You know what I mean? She pretty. You know what I'm saying? She could garner some attention. You know what I mean? Garner some attention. But seriously, right? And it's like, I don't think men are getting it. And they're like, oh, you don't need no attention from anybody else but your man. And I'm like, you know, she's not a piece of property. She's not dead. She's not a doorknob. She's a living, breathing woman who is saying that there's a part of her that feels insecure because, you know, her husband gets all of this attention. And I think that that's the key part right there that we need to look into. Because after all of this, because, you know, this was my second time watching this and I was taking notes. And one of the things that stood out to me Besides how doggone grown Willow is back there talking, that's right, that's right. Besides Willow and her grownness. The fact that they are saying over and over the women are lurking, hoping, waiting for their turn. The women have this primal instinct. She got they're encroaching upon her personal space. She almost wanted to punch someone. What else? Her child was less than 1 year old. A woman tried to jump in the car and was like, "You know what you signed up for," and all of this other stuff. And one of the things that just really kind of just stands out to me is the comparison, the respect that men have for Stefan, right? That women don't have for her. And so the overwhelming thing that I keep hearing is that women don't have respect for one another. That we don't give a damn whether or not she's married to him, or he's married or has a child, or they have a relationship, that they're so desperate with this primal need to be near men with power. So so even Jada talked about it. So men, men love that youth and that beauty and that plumpness, right? That feminine fattiness that just is intoxicating to men because success, or biological success, genetic success for a man is to spread his seed far and wide. Genetic success for a woman is to be able to find that best man for her few eggs, right? So, of course, men are going to be attracted to beautiful women. The women on the show had to reaffirm her that she is beautiful. This is what I'm saying. She's a mother, she's a wife. She doesn't feel beautiful. She doesn't feel desired and not by the person who has vowed before man and God to desire her for the rest of her life, but she doesn't feel pretty outside of that. And plus, like I said, she suffers from anxiety too. So we have to keep all of this in mind. And so the thing that stands out to me is that we women are so viciously disrespectful to the woman in the situation. But listen, it's biological. Listen, because I study evolutionary psychology. Women are more prone to desire men that other women want, especially beautiful women. But if we expect for men to have control over their urges, damn it, women, we got to have control over ours. That we're out there targeting these women because they're with powerful men instead of doing what the hell we need to do to be able to find the best man for us who is unattached. I guess they don't even really give a darn. They're like, oh, as long as I could get maybe I could get a baby by him. And I mean, look how Puffy did it. Look how Puffy did it. And then look at where his life ended up, with the woman that he truly, truly loved deep down in his heart and soul and spine and everything, got him crying and bleeding all over social media now because the woman is gone. And then you have this man who is good to his wife, and no scandals that we've heard of. They've been together since they were 15 years old. And you got women throwing themselves at him, hoping to be able to get a piece of it. And as a woman, it's embarrassing to me that we behave this way. It's embarrassing that we can't be like, oh, let's congratulate. But you know what? Let's get back onto Ayesha. Let's get back onto Ayesha. So I think the whole big thing that I see in this is that the woman just wants to feel desired. I want to hear your thoughts and your point of view about this. And not desired by her husband. I mean, and see, this is what I was saying earlier in the video. How so many men don't know how to keep a woman happy because you don't listen. You don't hear what it is that she's expressing. And I don't think that there's any real way for a woman to come to her husband and be like, oh, I don't feel desired by other men. I think this is something that she said in front of other women. They were having some girl talk, right? But the backlash that she's received on social media, a large part of me thinks that it has a lot to do with envy and jealousy. Even from the men. Like some men were saying they don't feel sorry for her living her charmed life. Jealous of the fact that the woman wouldn't you want your woman to have a charmed life, to be kept and taken care of? so that she's pampered. And I guess, you know, I guess men just aren't really getting it. You know, and it's like, if you really think about it, right? I mean, because it's nice, because you know what? It's nice to be able to go out to the nightclub and people, maybe not the nightclub, so people, the nightclub has changed. So go on vacation and, you know, people think that you're pretty and want to dance with you. It's nice to be able to be categorically off limits and know that you're off limits and know that you're going home to your partner, but also be able to catch an eye and use that to kind of put a battery in your back. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Those are just my thoughts on it. And I know I rambled and I was all over the place in this video. So I'm going to leave it up to you to comment in the comments below. What are your full thoughts about this? If you think about it, there's nowhere that she can go. So it's not like she could go on a girls trip and get that pump up that she needs. You know, like how, you know how men need to be around other men to play their basketball and have their guy time and be around testosterone, etc. There's no place that she can really go with other women. She can't take a girls trip and be able to, you know, to laugh and play and that stuff without being known. And so she's just completely off limits because, and listen, like they said, it's not because she isn't pretty, but she's kept in this world secluded. And many of us don't really understand what it's like to be famous. You know, I have a little taste of that. And it's like you have no privacy in public. You have no privacy in public. There's no place that she could go where she's not known, where her behaviors are not monitored, where she's not looked at, where people are not keeping their distance from her because they know all of the other stuff. And I think because male on male conflict can lead to violence a lot sooner than female on female conflict. And the type of violence that male on male conflict leads to can lead to loss of life. You know, like if some of these women were getting beat down, or if the threat of them losing if they knew that if they flirted with this man or whatnot, because like a man flirting with another man's woman, he could lose his life over that. A woman flirting with another woman's man, she may not lose her life over it. But I think that if there were the threat of that, if it were equivalent on both sides, women wouldn't be doing the things. I'm embarrassed as a woman. I want to hear your thoughts below. So write your comments below. What are your thoughts on this whole Ayesha Curry brouhaha? Part of me thinks that a lot of it is jealousy, people who are jealous of Ayesha and her station in life, her looks, or what it is that we have towards European phenotype black people with the whole one drop rule and the fact that this, that, and the other. I don't know. I want to hear. I know she said some problematic stuff in the past about relationships or some misogynistic stuff, but how does that affect you? How does her view about whether or not she wants to cover up she did say, what was the things that she said? She covers up, it's only for her man, and this, why, this, that, and the other. I need to refreshen myself on that, but those are her thoughts and views. And remember, we are talking about a person who is a human being who suffers from mental health challenges as well. So it's like, these are her own personal, she's speaking her truth, what works for her life. Why do we have to inject ourselves onto that and take it so personally? Those are my full thoughts on it. Tonya TKO, and I am out. I will read your comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. And remember, there's still time to order the vitamin E that I sell once a year so that your skin everywhere can be glowing and flowing like mine. Tonya TKO, and I'm out. Oh, go to my website, TonyaTKO.com. Go to the shop area to get the vitamin E. You can also get a free Relax MP3 in the shop area. And I will talk to you in the next video. Peace.